Good evening, you fantastic and glorious degenerates of this floating rock that we call Earth. Welcome to the Cajun Libertarian Live, the fastest growing podcast in the libertarian movement. I am your host, the Cajun Libertarian. Tonight we'll be talking a little bit about the CDC, a little bit about Russia, some funny stories, and all of the above. We're going to have a great time. So please, please, please get into the comment section. It's just you and us tonight. Let's get it rolling next on the Cajun Libertarian Live. What is going on, y'all? Welcome to the Cajun Libertarian Live. I am your host, Noel Cajun, whatever you want to call me. It's just fine. Hey, Cajun, what's up, Dakota? Thank you for watching on YouTube. The Mitch Pitch. Have a great show. Thank you. I plan to have an absolutely phenomenal show. I'm going to have a lot of fun tonight. I hope you're going to have a lot of fun tonight. There's ton of stress in the world. We're staring down the pipe of World War III and the entire collapse of the republic that we all know, dear, and love. Well, some of us may not know and love. You know, if you're a progressive authoritarian communist, then you're not going to love what's going on right now. Or, well, you do love what's going on right now. Sorry, you don't love our Constitution and you don't love this country, but most of us do, and we are going to keep fighting for it, and we're going to start and have been starting and will continue. And we're going to do that tonight on this show. So before we get started with our segments, if you're in Mississippi, come join me. Call me 1-800-417-6013 Insectum Pest Management. Give me a call if you got pest problems. I can help you. You can help us. It would be fantastic. And I've been doing this a long time, so I can help you with everything that you need in pest control. Hashtag the more you know. So let's get started. I want to open tonight with something that's very, very difficult for a lot of people to hear. It's very tough. And it may not be the right thing. But I believe it to be the right thing. I believe that we need a peaceful resolution within our borders, within this country, if you don't like the term borders. I only see one way to accomplish a peaceful resolution within these continental United States. I hope to God that I'm wrong. And given the circumstances within the world today, maybe, just maybe, these things will change some hearts and minds, and we won't need this. But I believe we need a national divorce. And I'll explain why. First of all, let me show you a tweet Well, I'm not going to be able to show you because I was working really late and I wasn't able to upload it. So I will read said tweet. Some of you may have already seen this tweet. Some of you may not have. This tweet is from a, go figure, blue check, Angela Belcamino. All right. This is one of those we gotcha receipts from way back. All right. I can now wake up without anxiety that my president started a world war or embarrassed our country again. Thanks, Biden. Oh, receipts. All right. And then that, okay, so date 8:34 a.m., July 3rd, 2021. Here is the gotcha. Well, that really is the gotcha, but here's the most recent one from February 23rd of 2022. Draft the unvaccinated. All right. That doesn't sound horrible, does it? Yeah, yeah, that really sounds horrible. I mean, thank God we're not going to have a world war because we have a floating carcass of a president that's an absolute waste of flesh and can barely string together two sentences. But thank God for no more tweets. Orange man bad, he's out. Not that I ever liked him. Didn't. Don't support Trump. Wish he would have done a good job. Wish he would have done a better job. But never voted for him. Never will. All right. So now let's get on to something more absolutely more impressive. And pressing. And this is why I'm advocating for a national divorce. Not just that. I mean, did you hear that language? That is somebody that isn't sane. Okay, that's somebody that doesn't have a rational train of thought. That is unbelievably dangerous. Now, what's even more dangerous is a recent Rasmussen poll. Some of you may have seen this or heard of it, but we're going to comb through a little bit of this. All right. 58% of voters would oppose a proposal for federal or state governments to fine Americans who choose not to get a COVID-19 vaccine. However, 55% of Democratic voters would support such a proposal, compared to just 19% of Republicans and 25% of unaffiliated voters. I hate that unaffiliated voter stuff. I hate the independent stuff because it feels like they're talking directly towards us and they never get it right. 99.9% of libertarians don't support any of this, right? You want to get vaccinated? Go get vaccinated. That's great. Do your thing. Maybe I'm self-projecting that talking to us, all right? So let's carry on. 59% of Democratic voters would favor a government policy requiring that citizens remain confined to their homes at all times, except for emergencies, if they refuse the COVID-19 vaccine. That is unbelievable. It gets worse. But let's tackle this for a second. Let me repeat that. 59% of Democratic voters would favor a government policy requiring that citizens remain confined to their homes at all times, except for emergencies, if they refuse to get the vaccine. This is a very recent Rasmussen poll. I hate polls. I don't trust polls. The Rasmussen poll is one that is as close to accurate as you're going to get, in my personal opinion. Quick break. Elizabeth, hey. Whoop, didn't show up. My bad. Hey. Phoenix O'Brien, TCL Live. Yes, indeed. Elizabeth, support the truckers. Let's never go through this crap again. Amen. I don't know that this ends with the truckers, but it can. Who knew? Elizabeth, who knew? It only took 18 wheels to flatten the curve. I hope it sticks. But let's keep going, because really what we're talking about tonight, y'all, is the public court of opinion. And that matters because these are people that we share a country with. These are people that we share a government. And according to the recent poll from Rasmussen, 58% of Democrats want you locked in your home if you're unvaccinated. That's nothing short of extraordinary. Extraordinary. It gets worse. Believe it or not, it gets worse. Nearly half, 48% of Democratic voters think federal and state governments should be able to fine or imprison individuals who publicly question the efficacy of the existing COVID-19 vaccines on social media, television, radio, or online or digital publications. Fine or imprison people that are simply questioning, which is the definition of science. That is science. Questioning, digging through, combing through, trying to find fallacies to make it better. This is incredible. You can't live with these people. You can't. I'm sorry. Now, let me get to that a little bit later because there's extreme warnings. And look, I'm not. Me and Matt Kibbe talked Wednesday, and he really highlighted something for me, which is to be much more optimistic because we have to be. We have to be optimistic, and I am optimistic. And so it's one. I'm in one of these positions to where I really want to be optimistic, and I really, really, really want to see the victories that have been happening here recently. I absolutely do. But when you're literally sharing land in a government with people that will put you in jail for questioning the efficacy of a vaccine that's been scientifically proven to not stop the spread, and it won't prevent you from getting sick. It does so far a decent job of preventing hospitalizations and deaths. That's it. That's why the CDC very recently changed the definition of what a vaccine is. Because that's not what a vaccine is. A vaccine means you get it, you don't get the crap, and we're done with it. This is a shot. It is a therapeutic. And just for saying those words, 48%, nearly half of polled Democrats would have me locked in jail for that. They don't respect the Bill of Rights. They hate the First Amendment. This is a fact. You can get mad. I've had people in the comments talking about, oh, this is a Republican-ish show, blah, blah, blah. Sorry, I'm not a Republican. I'm pointing out the facts, the hardcore truth. 48% of Democrats would put you in jail or at least fine you for questioning the efficacy of the vaccine that science questions and should. Let's keep going. Only about 14% of Republicans, 18% of unaffiliated voters favor criminal punishment for vaccine critics. Who the hell are they? What Republicans and unaffiliated, who are these people? And all of them are horrible. These are terrible human beings. Some of them are probably decent. I have no idea. Their actions don't speak that. The way this Rasmussen poll speaks, not good people. Not good people. This should be alarming. Again, I'm not trying to be that person that's super pessimistic and just think, Chicken Little, all of those things. I'm giving you the numbers that were collected. And I'm saying, these people you can't share a government with. There's no way. Let's keep going. We're almost done here with this segment. 45% of Democrats polled would favor governments requiring citizens to temporarily live in designated facilities or locations if they refuse to get a COVID-19 vaccine. Let me repeat, almost half of the Democrat voters polled want you in internment camps if you're unvaccinated for a shot that doesn't stop the spread. It doesn't stop you from getting sick. The efficacy wanes quickly, and they want you in internment camps regardless of the science and data. This is dangerous. Elizabeth, they're not terrible. They are indoctrinated. They drank the fluoridated, yeah, right, Kool-Aid by government education. I think you're right to a degree. I think some of them are just absolutely terrible. And I think we have the proof of that, honestly. Because a lot of these people, now not Democrat voters maybe, I think there's a lot of them that do know. I talked to some. They understand. They're just, they are cultists. They've drank the Kool-Aid so much that they're cultists. And they don't like the science. Matter of fact, they hate the science. They hate the data. And if they're willing to lock you up, fine you, and put you in internment camps, knowing this information, they're terrible people. But not all of them. You're correct. They're not all of them. But yes, a lot of them are very, very, very terrible people. If they understand the numbers, then they're terrible people. If they're acting out of pure ignorance, then they're guilty. They may not be terrible at heart, but they're horribly guilty for supporting this with no research. They're guilty. So let's keep going. 45% of Democrats would favor governments requiring citizens to temporarily live in designated facilities or locations if they refuse to get a COVID-19 vaccine. Such a policy would be opposed by a strong majority. 71% of all voters, 78% Republicans, 64% unaffiliated, strongly oppose putting the unvaccinated in designated facilities. So, thank God we have the majority. We're not talking about the majority right now, because I wholeheartedly believe that the majority hates this idea. I hope they do. I really do. I hope they hate this idea, because under no terms are these acceptable. Now let's get to the worst part of the poll. While about 2/3, 66% of likely voters would be against governments using digital devices to track unvaccinated people to ensure that they are quarantined or socially distancing from others, 47% of Democrats favor a government tracking program for those who won't get the COVID-19 vaccines. That's very dangerous, because that does not end with COVID-19. That, I promise you, and y'all, please, y'all have to know this. No, all of this is constructed in a manner, in a way, and presented and propagandized to carry beyond SARS-CoV-2 coronavirus. Okay? This is actually, none of this is for coronavirus. Call me a conspiracy theory. At this point, seeing that I am not speaking arrogantly, okay? I'm just talking factually. I've been right for 2 years. You can call me a conspiracy theory all you want. I've been right since day one, since the jump. This isn't about coronavirus. It's never been about coronavirus. This has always been about government control and a power grab. They seized an opportunity. Remember, these people are opportunists. They're opportunists. They don't care about your health. They don't care about your safety. They could give a crap about you. You're nothing more than tax cattle to them. They saw an opportunity and they went for it. None of this has to do with COVID-19. But what we're talking about in this poll are the people. That is really the problem. But you're talking about 350 million people that live here. We need to know what these people think and what they would advocate for, the things that they would want to be put in place from a power structure or government apparatus. That's what this poll is about. Because there's a lot of us. Very little government officials. There's a lot of us. Now, here's the most worst part. 29% of Democrat voters would support temporarily removing parents' custody of their children if parents refuse to take the COVID-19 vaccine. 29% of Democrat voters would support temporarily removing parents' custody of their children if parents refuse to take the COVID-19 vaccine. Can't share a country with these people. We cannot share a government with these people. And the reason that I push for a national divorce is because I push for peace. Under no circumstances are we going to see eye to eye with these people. They are not going to come to realization to the truth. They are not going to accept the science. They are not going to accept the data. They're not going to accept the facts. They are cultists. And there is no way that we can share a government with these people peacefully. And the longer this rhetoric goes on, and we just saw that tweet, we talked about that tweet just a few minutes ago, that was very recent. The longer this rhetoric goes on, the higher the chance that another civil war breaks out. Because there's a lot of Americans out there that are continuing to hear this, and if it begins to be pushed on to them, they're not going to stand for it. They're going to pick up their firearms and they're going to go kill those people. We are lucky, blessed. It is a miracle we survived one civil war. And even more of a miracle that we became a global superpower after that. There is no chance we survive another one. We must have peace. And unless you can convince these cultists, and good luck with that, they're cultists, they cannot be convinced, then we are always teeter-tottering on the brink of civil war. I want peace. What about you? Take it or leave it. That's just a thought. Let's get to your comments. All right. Let's see. There's a lot of comments already. I'm going to pick out Penny real quick. The data comes from where? As a podcaster, I request that you refrain from mirroring mainstream media, which, in my opinion, you are doing right now. I am not, under no circumstances. The data comes from the CDC. You can go find it yourself. I'm not sure what you're advocating for here. Let me scroll up a little bit here. I am not. Are you familiar with the Curley effect? I'll look into it. I've seen some other contentious. I'm picking them out because they're contentious. So I'm down. We'll take a few minutes to go by to take this on. FYI, I'm 65 and a lifetime big L libertarian. That means absolutely nothing. That is absolutely nothing. I could care less how old you are and what age how old you are, and if you've been a big L libertarian. If you're not going to acknowledge the facts, data, and science, that's on you, not me. Well, I've been right for 2 years. I've been right about the data. I've been right about the facts and the science. I've been right about the fact this has all been one giant power grab the entire time. And that if you're not old, fat, or very sick, then you have next to no risk of dying from coronavirus. And sorry, those are the facts. That is the data. If you don't like it, maybe go research. Maybe you do like it. I don't know. Here's a really good contentious comment. I applaud your courage, and you only have 8 people on this podcast. Perhaps you might be interested in a dialogue as to how you can grow your audience. I have the fastest growing podcast in the libertarian movement. I've had on Spike Cohen, Donald Rainwater. Man, I can name drop all. I just interviewed Matt Kibbe. All right. I've got Scott Horton coming on the show to talk about foreign policy. I just had Dave Smith on. I'm not sure what you're being very contentious, but keep going because we can do this all night. And I'm not an arrogant person, but you're being very condescending in the comments. And I don't see how you have a justification to be just because you don't like the facts and the science that I'm putting out. I don't know if you're a COVID cultist or what, but you got some issues. Yes, it is a miracle that we survived one civil war. Check history. Most countries don't survive a civil war. Yes, Elizabeth, thank you very much. I streamed to multiple places, 8 here on Facebook, streamed, yep, very shadow banned on Facebook. They have murdered me, but yeah, I used to reach about 1,000 people a show before they slaughtered my podcast. But let's keep going. My comments are not contentious, really. You are podcasting like an ego mini, in my opinion. Okay. Well, ask in the comment sections because I'm never arrogant, or I try not to be. One of the reasons that I've grown so far and so fast and can interview the people that I have, which I don't think you are, is because I am honest and genuine and authentic with my audience, because that is the only way to be. My audience and I learn from my audience almost every show. And I talk about it. I go through this journey with everyone here. And then she says, R. What is that supposed to mean? Am I a Republican? Ridiculous. Anyway. Penny. Karen. Yeah, obviously. I'm not sure what crawled into that situation and made her be contentious, but I'm glad to highlight it, put it on the screen, and talk about it. Because I have no idea what you're talking about. You don't know what you're talking about. You're obviously upset about something. Why don't you let us know exactly what you're upset about? Are you mad about the information and the data that I just put out? Is that what upset you? Because I didn't just create that data. That's from a Rasmussen poll, one of the most trusted polls in all of media. Let us know. You haven't commented again yet, so I don't know. Steve South says, what's Penny's podcast? Yeah, valid question. Valid question. Thank you, Phoenix. TCL is one of the most down-to-earth and base podcasts out there. I lament the nights when I miss. I appreciate you. That's awesome. Jackie Chan, can you be a libertarian without supporting the LP? Absolutely. Yes, you can. 100%. So, moving on from that apparently non-contentious comments there. That was fun, though. I like that because I would have actually rather there to be actually a valid debate between the two of us. That may be the first or second or third time maybe that I've been able to engage with somebody that's being negative in the comments. Alan, your critics are out tonight. Yeah, look, success will do that. Being out in front, even without success, I guess you have to have a little bit of success, otherwise nobody's. Okay, very good. I have issues with your representation as a libertarian. Great. What issues? 65 and Big L. What issues? Let us know. This is Facebook that you're on, clearly. This ain't YouTube. I'm sorry, this ain't Twitter. You ain't held to only 240 characters. Why did you stop at one sentence? What are your issues with me in my libertarian representation? I don't think you can even highlight them. If you can, I promise you I will bury them immediately. If not, then I'll learn and we'll figure it out. The Mitch pitch, right? It's a classic. It's the classic immature and uneducated and unwise libertarian standpoint of gatekeeping. You're not a real libertarian. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm not a real libertarian because I highlighted factual scientific data. Okay. It's honestly, I'm not sure what Penny, I'm assuming is a woman, is getting at here. And she's in Louisiana, and we've had conversations before and never have been contentious, way back in the day. But it's becoming ultimately kind of clear that she's a COVID cultist and she hates science, facts, and data. And these are the type of situations you find yourself in when you present the truth about coronavirus. Period. People have worshipped it. 65 and Big L checking in. Get learning about what is happening now versus your opinions. You've said nothing. Can you please present an argument? Nobody cares how old you are, and nobody cares if you're a big libertarian. That is absolutely useless information. Give us something that matters, or I'm moving on. But I want to stay on this. I'm kind of having fun with it. Since she tried to condescend on the amount of viewers and she wanted to tell me how to grow my audience when she has apparently zero audience. But yeah, lecture me, please. Keep going. Until then, let's talk about I wasn't even going in this direction. I was going to go funny first. But since we have a hater in the comments who hates information and data, let's go with that instead. The CDC withholds COVID data on booster effectiveness in those younger than 65, report says, which is your age, Penny. Just under your age. CDC withholds COVID data on booster effectiveness. Imagine that, because they lied the entire time. Penny, you have no idea what I believe about COVID. Thanks for always sharing your condescending opinion. Thanks for not giving us any information to figure out what the hell you're talking about. Either make a point, present your argument, or stop arguing. At some point, this will become very useless, and I will just ignore you because you are being useless. Give us what you're upset about. Let's talk about it, or kick rocks. Figure it out and do it fast, because I'm moving on. CDC withholds COVID data. Oh, with my 8 viewers, by the way, I'm going to move on. CDC withholds COVID data on booster effectiveness in those younger than 65, report says. The Center for Disease Controls and Prevention is not publicizing much of the data it collected on hospitalizations for COVID-19 public, including information about the effectiveness of booster shots for people younger than 65. The New York Times reported. Listen, we're living in a day and age where the New York Times now, the most left-wing propagandized pile of trash next to the CNN, even they're attempting to report the truth all of a sudden. I guess they can't help it, right? They have to report it at this point because everybody knows. Everybody knows. Everybody knows you've been lying. Everybody knows you're corrupt. Everybody knows you're a disgusting institution and it needs to be stripped to the studs and rebuilt. And now you're trying to backpedal. That goes for the CDC and the New York Times and CNN as well. CNN, I don't know if they have a chance, man. If y'all didn't know, the only reason that CNN even still has a program slot is because they broadcast all the airports. Fact. Penny, who apparently doesn't like facts. Oh, there she is again. Let's check back in with Penny, who hasn't said anything yet. Hey, what are your solutions? Stop pontificating your opinions and give us some solutions. Again, attack ad hominem, but you've never even said what you're mad about. We're still all trying to figure that out. Backtrack and tell me how I misrepresented libertarianism. I'll go back to your comment because I have the effing receipt. Stop running your mouth and tell everybody what you're talking about. I have issues with your representation as a libertarian. What are you talking about? Explain. All right, moving on. There's it's incredible. The CDC left out the number of 18 to 49-year-olds who materially benefited from getting booster shots after having been fully vaccinated. Number one, if you're not fat, sick, or very old, you don't need to be vaccinated. If you want to go do that, that's fine. That's your choice. Go ahead. Go do it. But you don't have to be. So 18 to 49, none of those people should be doing this. It's unnecessary unless you're falling into that, very specific category. All right. Again, opinion. Your opinion is yours. You're more than free to go do what you want to do. That's the whole point of this grand experiment that we call liberty, right? Do what you want. And remember that liberty is a newfound idea. If you check historically, liberty is not the standard. It is the exception to the rule, not the rule. So this is a grand experiment. That grand experiment, we must maintain its preservation as fully as possible. You do you. You want a mask, you wear a mask. You want a vaccine, you go get the vaccine, the shot, right? Personal opinion, 18 to 49. If you're not fat, sick, or very old, you're okay. And natural immunity has been scientifically proven to be vastly better. Don't forget, by the way, that you could get kicked off of the internet 6 months ago for saying that. 6 months ago, you get kicked off the internet for saying that masks don't work, that you needed a KN95 to get any sort of protection, which is about 50%. Now, all of a sudden, they're saying, well, yeah, because these aren't conspiracy theories. They're called spoiler alerts at this point. So, I usually don't interrupt my live solo monologues like this, but we got to check in on Penny. Penny. Hey, what are your solutions? Stop. I already said that one. Sorry. Did she check back in? Where's she at? I am not mad. Where did you get that? What about if you stop running your mouth? Oh, sure. I'm going to stop running my mouth on a podcast that I created. That would work out swimmingly to stop talking in the middle of the air. You are mad, and everybody can see it. So stop lying and tell us why you think I'm misrepresenting libertarianism, or shut up. I usually don't post stuff like this, but I'll go ahead and throw that out there. She can F off as far as I'm concerned. Elizabeth, read mine, smiley face. I got to go back. A bunch of y'all chimed in. Nima says, you suck, Penny. I'm not going to be mean to her. I'm just saying, are you going to say what you accused me of and tell everyone why you're being a Karen in the comment section, or not? Because if you're not, then we all know you're full of crap. And you probably, shouldn't be a big L libertarian. But I'm not going to gatekeep. So you can do whatever the hell you want, because I really don't care what kind of big L libertarian, absolutely useless information. Nobody cares. Go vote for a delegate. Go vote for who's going to run for president and get 1.6% of the vote. Have fun. Nobody else cares. We're trying to help the world. Trying to find I have to put that up again. I had no idea what I believe about her saying COVID, but she refuses to answer any questions. Sounds like a progressive leftist that can't make an argument because they have none. Here's Elizabeth. We as citizens pay $10 a piece for the data. We own it. It's ours. We should have an independent review and remove immunity from Big Pharma. Big facts. Thank you, Elizabeth. I should have said that. I never crossed my mind, but I forgot all about that. Thank you. Let's check this other comment. She says, my boyfriend worked in one of the only labs in the U.S. which processed vaccine trials. They were overwhelmed, and specimen was stored on dry ice. Big pharma companies paid 3 times as much to have their specimen front-loaded ahead of others to get to the finish line first. Unbelievable. There could have been a more effective vaccine made by a company that couldn't financially compete. And the mass amounts of specimen tested open the door for error. Wow. Wow. I didn't know that. That's incredible. Unbelievable. All right. I don't see Penny again, so we're going to carry on. And I'll tell you this right now. Penny, if you think you have such a strong argument and I'm such a pitiful nobody with 8 listeners and you need to teach me how to grow my podcast and I'm not a real libertarian, you get back into the comment section. I'll send you an invite and I'll bring you on live right now. But you have to tell everyone why you just said that you don't like the way I represent libertarianism. And then we'll talk about it. Do you have the balls or estrogenical fortitude, if you're a woman? Do you have a big vagina? Can you do that? I don't know if you're a guy or a girl. So, whatever. Guy, girl, anywhere in between, I don't care. If you have the metaphorical balls to come on the show, I'll bring you on. We'll do it live. Because that's who I am. I'm firm in what I stand for. My wife says, tell the funny story. Let's do the funny story and break up the contentious part. You guys are going to love this story. It's going to be, it's actually, it's kind of disturbing and upsetting because it involves kids, but it is still very, very funny. All right. So a Democrat congressional candidate blamed adverse reaction to wine and sleeping pills for drunkenly calling girls acne effers. I'm not going to repeat what it actually says. It says acne effers. That's what she called a bunch of little girls at a sleepover. At the sleepover, she said she doesn't remember anything until she was vomiting in a laundry hamper. Fantastic. Abby Broyles, who is a representative in Oklahoma. She's 32 years old, previously apologized for getting drunk and shouting at schoolgirls, calling one acne effers and another a Hispanic effer. So not only was she drunk and disgusting, she apparently said something racist. During a Valentine's weekend gathering before she vomited in a hamper in a girl's shoe. Fantastic. Instead of helping me sleep, I hallucinated, Broyles told the station, and I don't remember anything until I woke up or came to, and I was throwing up in a hamper. That is freaking hilarious. Let me explain something to those of you that don't know. Many of you probably do. Abby Broyles is lying. She did all of those things. She tossed back some drinks. She ate some pills. She cussed out some teenagers. And then she vomited in a hamper. All of that happened. The I didn't know the adverse react part, 100% knew that would happen. 100% knew that would happen. Trust me, as somebody who lived in severe addiction for a very long time, when I look at a prescription bottle and it says alcohol may intensify this effect, I'm like, yes, That's what I'm looking for right there. She knew full well that she was taking pills and drinking, and she wanted to get down, even though she was at a teenager's sleepover. And then made an ass out of herself, wound up being disavowed by the Democrat Party, and puking in a hamper basket in kids' shoes. And that, my friends, is hilarious and awesome. Absolutely fantastic. All right, let's check your comments real quick. I love that story. Nick says that's a 10 for drunk spins. Oh, man. Elizabeth Penny, you're still here. Please go away or be quiet, says Nima. Elizabeth, vaginas can totally take more than balls can. They take a beating and keep on keeping on. Balls you can gently bump and men cry. You know, I can't argue with that. It's a fact. It's 100%. I don't know if some of you ladies understand. Literally, a thump to the balls can make you vomit. I'm not kidding. Well, it's unbelievable. And vaginas take a pounding. That is a fact. Yeah, Elizabeth, you're spot on. No question. No question. Scientific Libertarian 2.0 sounds kind of horrible for the kids, though. That's why I prefaced it with not really great for the kids, but still a funny story. I can imagine that, not very good for the kids, even though, look, here's the also part, right? Here's the other part. You can assume that as she's at that stage in her incoherent and drunken high state, that she's probably staggering and slurring. And so, you kind of maybe encapsulate all of the things in there in your vision of how that situation went down. And hopefully the kids were like, oh man, this chick is hammered. She means absolutely nothing to what she says. But the more important part is she absolutely knew what she was doing. Then she tried to say she didn't. Oh, I didn't know that taking pills that say alcohol may intensify its effect on the bottle and then smashing was not going to result in a more thicker, serious buzz and situation. Jackie Chan. I took grape juice with benzos once, and it was effing intense. Yeah, benzos will get you. Grapefruit juice. Yeah, grapefruit juice with vodka and benzos. And you're almost on Abby Broyles, Democrat politician, on her level. Steve South, good question. I'm not going to mess around with this for too much longer. Penny, please fill in the blank. I disagree with Cajun Libertarian because then we can all politely consider if you are right instead of assuming you're wrong. Very good. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Absolutely. There's Penny again. Are you high on what? No, I'm not high. I am just fine, thank you. Doing a show. Do the show I do every week. Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Cajun Libertarian. Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, Float. Trying to do the thing on TikTok, although I'm not very much liking it. So if you're listening to Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, or Spotify, please leave me a review, 5-star review. Leave me even if you hate the show, just help a brother out. Give me the obviously not Penny's going to do this, but you know what? That's fine. Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, give me 5 stars. Leave me a review. Help me out. Anchor.fm. So look, everybody can thank Penny because she just gave me a very great opportunity to segue into the promo. All right, moving on. That was really kind of it for the night, considering the fact that I really didn't get to talk about what I wanted to because of Penny May Landry, who's still here. That's awesome. Thank you for, look, I tell people all the time, let the haters do their thing, right? I call them the AOC to my Goya because they help drive the algorithm. I'm glad. I'm so glad you're here, Penny. Every comment you make helps push me to the top of the algorithm. It's fantastic. Everyone that argues with you pushes me to the top of the algorithm. It's beautiful. So please, please, please. I think you are high on testosterone. Correct. Presented without comment. I think you're high on testosterone. Correct. That's awesome. It must be the most ridiculous comment I've ever seen on this. That's fantastic. Oh man. I am not a hater, mother effer. Okay. Then stop acting like one and tell everybody why I am misrepresenting libertarianism. You have still yet to answer the very first question of where this entire conversation derived from. Yeah, Nima, she is ruining an otherwise good show. I really had a fantastic show going. I'm sorry. I can't get a straight answer. Uh, Nima, I'll try to contact you outside of the show and make sure that you tune in again. This is the first time this has ever happened, y'all. But I decided to run with it. Everybody in the comment section is running with it. I usually don't do this, and nor should I have done this. Nor should I. This is my mistake. I should not have engaged with people that don't matter. I'm sorry. She does matter. She's 65 and a big L. Yeah, because that doesn't matter. Shouldn't have done that. Should have ran with the show anyway. I'm not sure how Elizabeth and Nima are upset now. This turned into a complete shit show of a podcast. I might just delete this whole thing. Man, I had some good stuff too. Had a funny thing right there. We didn't even get to talk about Russia. We're on the brink of World War III, like quite literally. We have a empty carcass of just a waste of flesh of a president up there. I mean, on the brink of World War III. I don't know what the hell we're gonna do. Obviously, Biden doesn't know either because he forgot what he just had for brunch. He's in bed right now, passed out, watching Matlock, drinking his orange juice, or sure, maybe a smoothie. We are in trouble. Thank you, Nima. Appreciate that, man. I'm not upset with you either. Elizabeth is a fantastic human being, so I think you might be confused with the other dummy. Not dummy, but other person. Sorry, I shouldn't have said that. I was looking at other comments. Critics makes you stronger. Absolutely. So, back to my very original opening monologue with the Rasmussen poll. We have a very serious issue. National. Oh, that may be why she's upset because this is something about a national divorce. Um, yeah. What the hell is she gonna do? You know, you can't share a government. And look, we can share land. We can trade with these people. But if you want to go and have your entire community make sure they're double, triple, and within the next 7 months, 57th boosted community, that's fine. Go do that. But you cannot impose that onto other people. Oh, that's my high on testosterone showing. I think it is. I'm gonna run with that. I'm taking that one. Thank you, Penny. I am the host of the show, Penny. I'm not worried about your curly effect right now. I have people listening and reading. I cannot go dive into what you're talking about. I am not obligated to answer your question. I am the host of the show. Answer why I am not a real libertarian and you don't like how I represent libertarianism, or shut up. Jesus. All right. Now, going back, you can't share government. We can trade. We can share territory with these people. And no violence, no violence. That's why I advocate for a national divorce or secession, or if it can work, a convention of the states. I'm not sure how well that will work. I just don't think that's a real optimal proposition. Obviously, the best thing I want is for these people to wake up and realize that they're not following the science or the data. And we all move past this and understand the greater threats to our country right now, which are imminent, most of which are coming down from our government. We just saw what happened in Canada overnight. Peaceful protesters, they were locked up and their bank accounts frozen, even if you just and they said they're going to continue the investigation for people that just contributed to the peaceful protests. This cannot be ignored. This is very dangerous. The last thing we need to be arguing with each other over is whether or not you had a shot that damn near doesn't do anything. But if you're going to ride on that hill, if you're going to ride or die on that, then we can't share a government with you. You need to go do your thing. Create your city, do that. Otherwise, it will eventually turn into violence. And we cannot have violence. We cannot survive another civil war. We cannot. We must not. Violence cannot, must not be an option. Unless the guns are pointed at us, which they aren't yet. There are metaphorical guns pointed at us, but not real guns pointed at us. We cannot do that. We will not survive that. It will be the end of our country. We need to figure out something else, and we need to figure it out very effing fast. All right, let's check your comments. Penny Landry still refuses to tell everyone why she's even being a dick in the comments. And I'm pretty over it. Look, Penny, I was more than happy to entertain you. You're being very negative and judgmental and condescending from very arrogant, unearned arrogance too, by the way. You have no reason to be arrogant. You have not earned the right to be arrogant. Nobody really has, but especially you in this moment right now. Where do you have your money? The hell are you talking about? None of your business. Nor am I going to vomit that on the internet. That just goes to show me how you're asking somebody who hosts a show where they have their money on the internet, which over the next couple of weeks, thousands of people are going to watch and listen to. What's wrong with you? Just go. Answer the question. This is my last appeal. Tell me how I'm misrepresenting libertarianism. Do it. Do it now, or this conversation's over. Which, at this point, if you've refused to answer the question and you're just riding this wave of ambiguity because you understand that you've been backed into a corner in which you cannot defend and you never had the arsenal to defend in the first place, then this conversation was over, and it was over a long time ago. And you know that. And we all know that. Because if it wasn't, if you actually had any weapons in this exchange, you would have given them. You cannot, because you do not, because you have not. So we're going to move on from that. No more of Penny. All right. Moving on from Penny, because there's nothing there. There's a useless conversation with somebody who had no content to provide for the rest of us to be entertained or debate with. So that's the end of that. Now, what we do have to consider, let's do this. Let's take a break for a second. Let's do this. Y'all remember this? I remember this. There's Stacey Abrams, maskless, with a bunch of kids. Oh, which, by the way, the CDC said nobody has to wear masks anymore. Imagine that. I remember. Does everybody else remember that Uh, all of the Democrat Party decided to lift their mandates in concert overnight when the polls came out, and they're about to get slaughtered in the midterms. Does everybody? I remember that. Pepperidge Farm remembers that. I'm old enough to remember that. I don't know about you, but there's Stacey Abrams smiling because guess what? She is better than you, and she's better than your kids. Look at all those kids' masks. Which, by the way, all of those cloth masks, yeah, like I've been telling you, like we've been telling you, like you've all been saying for 2 years, those don't do anything. Those surgical masks, they don't do anything. But yet here we are, continuing to force our children, like cattle, to mask in schools where they have next to zero chance of transmission and death or hospitalization. I'll give you a fun fact. It's not fun, actually. I'm sorry I shouldn't have said that. I'll give you a hard, cold data fact. In the state of Mississippi, 12 children, it may even be 11, have died from coronavirus or with coronavirus since the start of the pandemic. Since the beginning. All 11 or 12 of those children were extremely sick prior to being infected with SARS-CoV-2 coronavirus 19. 11 or 12. But yet, we're still muzzling our children as if that has absolutely no detriment at all. Remember that argument? Oh, kids are fine. They don't suffer from masks. They're good. The Center for Disease Control has quietly changed their standards for early childhood development as the effects of the pandemic policies on children's development from speech to reading to other basics becomes increasingly more apparent. The CDC just quietly lowered the standards for speech in early childhood development. Now children should know under 50 words at 30 months rather than 24 months. Instead of highlighting the harmful effects of lockdowns and masks on children, the CDC just lowers the bar. They are lost. They're not just compromised, they're gone. And not one word should be listened to any longer. That's dangerous. This is incredibly bad that all of our major institutions, specifically our science and medicine, scientific and medicinal institutions of medicine. I want to make sure I'm presenting the etymology correctly. Zero trust. Zero trust. These are supposed to be not or apolitical institutions that, regardless of the freaking chaos and circus that is Republicans, Democrats, Libertarians, apparently, of course, we already knew that, this circus of politics, one thing we're supposed to be able to count on is science and medicine. And they're gone. Completely lost. Not just compromised. I'm old enough to remember that the CDC changed the definition of what a vaccine was during the middle of a pandemic, which was never a pandemic, by the way, which I said many months ago. Because I understand, because of my extensive background in medicine, Penny. I don't know if you've commented again. I'm sorry. I just had to throw that out there. Look, she may not at all be upset with my coronavirus stuff. I have no idea what she's talking about. But I have an extensive medical background. It's a virus. You cannot eradicate. Remember what Joe Biden said? I'm not going to shut down the economy. I'm going to shut down the virus. That was never an option. That's not how viruses work. This, from day one, was always endemic. And they're still acting like it wasn't, even though they're saying it is now. Had they come out, given the fact that we have dealt with coronaviruses for a long time, and said, look, this is a dangerous virus for a very specific demographic, and we need to be careful. We need to shelter them. We need to shield that demographic, and we need to collect data as fast as we can and try to act on that data and see the best way we can or keep lives healthy, which some of those factors should include the health and safety and education of children, the safety of your business, etc., etc., etc. They did not include those things, knowing full well that from day one, I'm promised these people knew from gate. They knew from day one because we've been dealing with coronavirus for decades. They knew from the jump, we're going to have to deal with this forever. That's why at the beginning of it, it was 2 weeks to flatten the curve, which I was vehemently against. Had it stayed that, which is actually never an option, right? That was to not overwhelm the hospitals. If you don't, I spent almost all of 2018 in the hospital. Several weeks of that, which I was dying. I thought I was going to die. I recovered, thank God, miraculously. There's that miracle word again, penny. I'm gonna have to just use penny all the time now because actually I really like that name, Penny. It really fits real well. So I think like Penny may be the new Karen. Can we just all agree on that? All right, moving forward. And I'm not even looking at the comments, so I don't even know if she's here anymore or not because she refuses to engage properly. She's very intellectually dishonest. Everybody knows that. We're done with that. No more attention there. They knew, the scientists knew, doctors, medical professionals knew that from the jump this was endemic because it's a virus. You can't cure a virus. You build immunity to it, antibodies. Sometimes you can do that via vaccination. A lot of times you can't. Common cold is a coronavirus, literally. And you can't cure it, right? Like, just they banked on the ignorance of the vast populations. It worked. Give them credit, y'all. Give them credit. This is like the I'll touch on this next week, like on Monday. This whole Trump is praising Putin thing. Nah, he never praised Putin. He's just giving credit where credit was due, just like I'm doing right now. Putin has played his cards well. And he's really made some very intelligent chess moves to put himself in the position that he wanted to be. And the position he wants to be is an absolutely murderous dictator and take over land and recreate the Soviet Union. That's what he wants to do. And he's played his cards well. That's all Trump said in the interview. I've listened to the interview twice. I listen to a lot of interviews. I listen to news all day. Not a Trump fan. Never voted for Trump. Never will. But Trump was right. And no, he was not praising Putin. And no, I'm not praising the government right now. I'm saying it worked. What they did worked. They banked on the mass ignorance of people, and it worked. But they knew. They knew from day one, from the jump. This was an endemic situation, meaning once it hit, it was here forever. We had to figure out how to deal with it. That's why the word pandemic was always dis, or malinformation, whatever buzzword they want to throw out there today. That was never an accurate adjective, ever, or noun. Never. A pandemic gives you the idea that there will be an end to it. You understand? This is always a lie. Everything they talked about. Now, the virus isn't a lie. It's very real, very dangerous for a very small demographic of people. It'll make a lot of other people sick. Even though you're healthy, you'll get real sick. You'll recover, and you're fine. After that, that's another thing. Natural immunity, they suppressed it. They have lied habitually. It was not incompetence. Don't say that, or say what you want. You can believe whatever you want. You can say what you want. I'm not here to tell you what to do or think or say. I'm giving you data, information, in my opinion, my view on it. It was never a pandemic. Pandemic has an end. This has no end. It's a virus. It's here and forever will be. We just won't notice the effects as much because we have natural immunity. I mean, I don't know at this point, other than addressing the tyranny that has been habitually rained down upon us and continues to be over this endemic virus. There's really not much else to say about it. And that's a good thing. And we've got a lot of other things to talk about. But I joined this fight because I knew these things from day one. We've talked about this before. This is why I'm an activist. This is how the Cajun Libertarian got started. Obviously, it's not my name. My name is Noel. Just a regular dude. Never intended to be here. You know, I was meme dumping when coronavirus started happening and talking, and I was like, yo, they're lying. They're not telling you the truth. Please do not panic. Don't buy into the fear porn. That was me being the watcher on the wall, which is what I've been called to do. Saying, hey, look, I'm guarding the city with my eyeballs. I can see the danger coming. I'm warning everyone. And that's all I've ever been. Not to be a pessimist, you know. Great conversation with me and Matt Kibbe on Wednesday. Go check it out. Absolutely incredible. He's much more of an optimist than I am, you know. And that's great. We need that. We need that balance. But I've been a watcher on the wall. I see the warning. I see the signs, and I feel obligated and called to yell that out. And that was where it all got started. Was with coronavirus. The minute it all started to come to, and they started talking about 2 weeks to flatten the curve, I jumped on it, and I started telling everyone, stop, don't freak out, don't panic. They're lying to you. It's coronavirus. Don't freak out. This it's not how the world's gonna end. Billions and millions of people are not gonna die from this. Don't freak out. That's how this all started. Facebook was harassing my personal profile, so I created an alt account. That's where the Cajun Libertarian happened. Somebody asked me to come on after it got a little popular and talk about libertarianism. I'm like, sure. I mean, I don't know about, like, I'll do that. Never done it before. We'll talk about it. And then that was a great show. It wasn't even a show. It was just a conversation with a bunch of comments. A bunch of people in the comments said, hey, man, you need to have a show. And here we are. And we've talked about this before. But just a recap if you didn't know. We're still crushing our children, though. There's still children with masks being mandated. That's happening. It's still going on. Sitting in school. Basically 0% chance of death. Kids under 5, you got about the same chance of getting hit by lightning and dying as you do from COVID. All kids under 18, you got a better risk of, or better is not the right word, you got a greater risk of dying in a car accident on the way to go get the vaccine. These are facts. They're facts. People under 30, there's countries that don't even recommend a booster under 30. There's countries that don't recommend getting vaccinated at all under 30. And yet that's all we still talk about. We didn't even get to talk about natural immunity until about 2 months ago. 2 months ago, y'all. All by design. All by design. They hate facts. They hate science. They hate data. This was never about any of that. This was always about politics. This was always about power, grab, and control. This was always about the Great Reset, which is not a conspiracy theory. It's not a right-wing thing. WorldEconomicForum.org is quite loud about it. Klaus Schwab, a disgusting human being, very loud about it. I can't wait to take a 2-hour special or an hour special and dive into the Great Reset with y'all, because it is frightening and fascinating. It's quite brilliant. It's fascinating and so intriguing. So amazing. Not good, very bad. Very bad for us, very bad for the world, but incredible. I mean, just wild. So, with that being said, Russia's trying to take over half of Europe. That sucks. A lot of people, I pray, are not going to die or not going to get hurt. That's a tough situation over there. We're going to monitor it closely. As of right now, my own personal opinion is, and again, I'm going to have Scott Horton on, my 8 viewers. Scott Horton, who on Monday night is going to be on Fox News, and then come on my show because nobody watches it. Anyway, Scott Horton will be on Tuesday night to talk about foreign policy. We'll talk about Afghanistan. We're going to talk about Taiwan, which a lot of people aren't paying attention to. The world's watching, y'all. We joke about it. We make memes about it. But every time Joe Biden gets up there and he says anything at all, guess who's watching? Every foreign leader, some of which are very violent. They're watching. And when he can't make it through a speech, they know that. When he falls asleep at a G7 summit, they know that. The world is watching. And we're going to talk about some of the consequences that are coming up potentially for us and specifically for Ukraine, man. And look, if you're a prayer, please pray for the people of Ukraine. I'm not talking about their government. The government is, corrupt. There's a lot of corruption over there. But pray for the people of Ukraine. Send your best wishes. If you're not a prayer, that's fine too. But that's a real serious situation over there. It's real serious. So it's Friday night. I will see you Monday. I love you very, very, very much. I will see you Monday. Same Cajun time, same Cajun channel, and I'm out.